All right, a very good evening to all of you. So welcome to another video on Wilsmer-Huck reaction. So in the previous video, we had discussed about the mechanism and some basic reactions of Wilsmer-Huck reaction, right? How it leads to formylation, where will it selectively lead to formylation, and particularly we had discussed in terms of heterocyclic molecules, right? So now we are going to look into some complex reactions of Wilsmer-Huck reaction using the same reagent, that is DMF-POCl3. And if you haven't seen my previous video, I would request you to go ahead and watch that before coming over here so that it is easier for you to understand, right? So I'll give you the link to that video in the top right corner, or you can just search it on YouTube, Wilsmer-Huck reaction, and you will get it on my channel, right? Before we begin with this concept, I would just like to tell you guys that I'm also teaching live on Unacademy. So if you're interested, you can go through this 1-minute description that I'm about to give. Hey guys, so I'm a verified educator on Unacademy, and along with that I'm also available on the Unacademy Plus platform, where I'm taking live classes along with other educators. So in case you're interested in attending the live classes, you can subscribe to the Unacademy Plus platform using my referral code, that is SETHI, and that will give you 10% discount. Alright, and in case you're not interested in attending the live classes, you can watch the free courses that are available on the Unacademy. For that, all you need to do is go to the Unacademy website or download the Unacademy Learning app and search my name over there, that is ACT. Once you do that, you will get the access to all the free courses that are available on the Unacademy platform. Alright, now let's begin with the video. Right. So when you add DMF-POCl3 to this particular substrate, okay, you add DMF-POCl3, what is the active catalyst that is generated? So the active, I would say, intermediate that is generated is this. Okay, we have discussed this. We have two methyl groups when we are using dimethyl formamide, and along with that we'll have a hydrogen over here and a chloride over here, right? And then there'll be a positive charge on this nitrogen, right? Now the thing over here that you need to understand is, if you look at this particular substrate, so over here this is oxygen. This oxygen can basically donate electrons, and this molecule can undergo electrophilic aromatic substitution. Okay, so over here from this position it can undergo electrophilic aromatic substitution. So what it is going to do, this particular position is going to attack this carbon over here, right? So from this particular position, the attack will take place on this particular carbon. Okay, so this is going to be the reaction. So once this happens, what do we get? Basically we'll get this. Okay, and you know how the mechanism works, that once a nucleophile over here attacks this particular carbon, then what happens? This nitrogen migrates, this double bond migrates to the nitrogen, and then this nitrogen migrates back to expel the chlorine atom. Okay, so finally over here what will we get? We'll get basically a double bond nitrogen like this, okay, with the positive charge. So this is what we are going to get. Now I told you that from here, generally what we do, we add water in the workup in the end step. Okay, so water is added in the workup or in the end of the molecule, like when the reaction has completed, then we add water molecule, right? So now what can happen is, because I am not adding water molecule, okay, sometimes when you add water molecule, it is sometimes also referred to as quenching. So I'm not adding the water molecule, okay, I'm not doing the workup of the reaction. Before that, what can happen is that the chloride that is expelled over here, this chloride can abstract an acidic proton. Now this proton over here is very acidic, because if I abstract this proton, okay, if I abstract this proton over here, a carbon ion will be generated, and this carbon ion is extremely stable, okay, because of because it is in conjugation with this whole functionality. So what can happen is, now this carbon ion can attack this particular carbon over here. Okay, this carbon ion can attack this particular carbon. So once it and what will be expelled? HCl gas will be released, right? Because chloride is abstracting this proton, so HCl HCl will be released. Okay, depending on what the conditions are, it can be aqueous also or gaseous also, right? So once this attacks over here on this particular carbon, this bond will migrate. So what will we get? Basically we will get a 5-membered ring. Okay, and on this ring we have CO and phenyl group. Okay, and since the attack has taken place over here, we'll have N, Me, Me. Okay, now what is the next step? Since HCl is there, HCl is present in the solution, that HCl, what it can do, it can protonate this nitrogen. Okay, it can protonate this nitrogen and convert it into a very good leaving group. Okay, So it can protonate this nitrogen and convert into a very good leaving group. Next, what will happen is the conjugate base, that is Cl minus. Once HCl over here protonates this nitrogen, the conjugate base, that is Cl minus over here, can abstract this proton. Okay, so what Cl minus will do, the Cl minus, or I'll just write conjugate base, will come abstract this proton. Okay, and basically once the proton is abstracted, what is going to happen? Sorry, not this proton, I'm very sorry. It will abstract this proton over here, because this is a leaving group, right? So it will abstract this proton over here, right? So this proton will be abstracted and this will leave. Okay, so finally what you're going to get is you're going to get a benzofuran. Okay, so this is what the cyclization reaction I was talking about. Okay, so you'll get a benzofuran over here, CO phenyl, right? So this will be the product. So this is a very, very interesting reaction. Okay, and this is one of the basic cyclization reactions that can be shown by the Wilsmer-Huck reagent, right? So now let's look into one more example. Now in this example you might think that, you know, the Wilsmer-Huck reaction would not take place, but what if I add over here? So why am I taking this question is because I want to show you that sometimes directly DMF POCl3 might not be given, or it might not be very readily obvious that the Wilsmer-Huck reaction is going to proceed. Sometimes you need to practice enough so that you understand that yes, there is a possibility of a Wilsmer-Huck reaction. How? I will just talk about that. So what I'm first I'll add, let's say, some reagent, acyl chloride. Okay, I add some acyl chloride derivative. So when I add acyl chloride, you know what can happen. This basically this is the structure. Okay, RCOCl. So this nitrogen has lone pair of electrons. Okay, so this what can this amine do? This amine can attack this carbon over here. It will form O minus. O minus will migrate back and chloride will be expelled. Okay, so ultimately what we'll get, basically we'll get this product, CH2 CH2 NHCO R. Okay, this is what I'm going to get. Now let's say I add over here, instead of DMF I add POCl3. Okay, now when I add POCl3, what will happen? If you know the mechanism, you will be quickly able to draw it. Okay, so what will happen? I'll just quickly give you a glimpse. Oxygen, this nitrogen will basically donate electrons over here. This oxygen is going to attack the phosphorus. Okay, and one of the chlorines is going to be eliminated. So once that chlorine is eliminated, what will happen? That chlorine will come and attack this, again this carbon. Okay, let me just show it to you so that you don't get confused. This will form O minus. Okay, so this bond will be donated, nitrogen will have a positive charge, this will form O minus, and this O minus will then attack the phosphorus. Okay, so it will form OP bond. Okay, so I can draw over here, it will form OP bond. Okay, and then what will happen? We have a Cl minus present. That Cl minus will attack this carbon. Okay, it will lead to formation of NH. This NH will again migrate back, and this basically this bond will eliminate. So we'll have the phosphorus oxygen bond being eliminated, and ultimately what we'll get, basically we'll get this CH2 NH. Okay, or you can draw it like this. We have this is the intermediate that is going to be generated. Okay, this is the intermediate that is going to be generated. This was very important. So you see, this is not directly given, but it is actually a Wilsmer-Huck reaction. Okay, and then what is the next step? If I don't add H2O, okay, if I don't do the workup, there is a possibility that again from over here electrophilic aromatic substitution could be shown. Okay, so what can happen? When I talk about electrophilic aromatic substitution, this is the most nucleophilic position, right? Due to the inductive effect, this will become most nucleophilic, right? So because of the inductive effect of the CH2 group. So what can happen over here? This CH2 basically can show electrophilic aromatic substitution. This is an electrophile, and again it can lead to cyclization. So once the cyclization happens, what will we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll get 6-membered ring. Okay, so the cyclization will happen over here. Okay, like this, and we'll get a 6-membered ring with nitrogen present over here. Okay, this at the second position nitrogen will be there, and obviously over here we'll have the R group present because chlorine will be kicked off. Okay, so the chlorine will be kicked off. We'll have a R group over here, and this will be NH positive. Okay, which can be basically abstracted by the conjugate base. So basically we'll get NH over here. Okay, simply NH will, simple nitrogen will get, so double bond nitrogen. And now what you can do, you can add a oxidant. Like for example, in the question they can give you DDQ. So DDQ is an oxidant or any other oxidant they can give you, and that will basically lead to the formation of a quinoline. Okay, this will lead to the formation of quinoline. Basically aromatization will take place and we will get a quinoline. Okay, this and this. So this is also one of the reactions. Again, this is a very typical question. Okay, they can give you this as the first step, addition of RCOCl then POCl3. So you have to identify that a Wilsmer reaction is taking place, and after the Wilsmer reagent is added, you will get this final intermediate, or final, you can say, like you will get this product, and then when you add any oxidant, like for example DDQ, it will lead to aromatization, and finally you will get this cyclized product. Okay, so this is a very interesting question. Like these are the ways the question can be framed. Okay, so this was the one of the examples that I had discussed with all of you, right, where we had this like formylation will take place over here, and then we had discussed this concept. This is another question. You can try it out yourself, so that if you, just to see that you have understood or you have got the concept. Over here what will happen is, since nitrogen over here is nucleophilic, so what will happen, this nitrogen will attack the intermediate that is generated. So when you add DMF POCl3, all of you know what intermediate will be generated. Basically this intermediate is going to be generated, right, with a positive charge on nitrogen, and now this is the electrophile. So now this nitrogen actually, okay, this nitrogen can basically participate and can attack this electrophile. Okay, and then what can happen, then the conjugate base that is generated, that is the Cl minus, that is eliminated. So what you can show over here, this nitrogen attacks and it leads to the formation of imine over here. Okay, it can lead to the formation of imine over here like this. Okay, and then what you can show, that the Cl minus that is eliminated, that Cl minus can abstract this proton over here. Okay, that Cl minus can come, or the conjugate base can come, abstract this proton, this can migrate over here, and then this can attack over here like this. Okay, so again it will lead to cyclization, and then if you are adding oxidant, then it might lead to your aromatization. So you can see over here, this is going to be the product, the cyclized product, and you can calculate the number of members. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you'll get a 6-membered ring. And so this is one of the ways also that the aromatization can happen. Over here actually you don't need oxidant. You can clearly see that the aromatization will happen by itself. You don't need an extra oxidant over here. So anyway, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please like this video and also subscribe to the channel, right? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. In case you have any suggestions, or if you want to suggest any topic, please feel free to let me know down in the comment section, right? Thank you, and I will see you on Sunday.